Everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive straight into a profoundly moving journey today, the untold story of Chadwick Boseman. Now, to millions of people, he was this absolute global symbol of courage, leadership, and dignity. But beneath the surface of that monumental, very public career, he was a private warrior, fighting a battle that honestly almost no one even knew existed. So, our focus today is to really unpack and honor the legacy of a man who managed to change the world simply by being exactly who he was.
To get us started, I want to look at this profound thought directly from our source material. Some heroes wear capes, others wear crowns. And man, does it not just hit the nail on the head? It perfectly captures his unique, incredibly dignified impact on the world. Because let's be real, very few individuals carry the kind of quiet, commanding grace that Boseman did. He was a true king in the eyes of his fans, far, far beyond just the comic book universe.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates our core theme for today. The stunning, almost unbelievable contrast between his highly visible public triumphs and his totally invisible private reality. I mean, think about it. On screen, he's starring in these massive blockbuster movies, taking on intensely physical roles and inspiring millions. But quietly, behind closed doors, he was enduring grueling surgeries and chemotherapy. For a lot of fans, it was just impossible to comprehend that someone who looked so incredibly strong was carrying such an enormous, heavy burden in private.
Chapter 1. A Foundation of Purpose.
Let's rewind a bit to see exactly how this incredible foundation of character was built. From the very beginning in South Carolina, his tight-knit family deeply ingrained these core values in him. Education, discipline, and a deep love for the arts. These weren't just passing hobbies for him, you know? They were his compass. And as he moved on to study directing and theater at Howard University, that passion really evolved. He didn't just want to be famous, he wanted to create meaningful stories. Howard essentially became the crucible where his artistic identity was truly forged.
Now, it's funny how a single piece of advice can completely define your trajectory. While he was at Howard, one of his mentors, the acclaimed actress Felicia Rashad, gave him this piece of advice: dream beyond what seems possible. And for Boseman, that wasn't just some cheesy motivational quote. It literally became the blueprint for his entire career, pushing him to look way past the limitations that Hollywood routinely placed on young black actors.
Of course, as we all know, success doesn't just happen overnight. This explainer really highlights his early hustle. For years, he was taking these small television roles, popping up on shows like Law & Order, CSI-NY, ER. But through it all, he never lost sight of his foundation. He just kept writing and directing his own plays, patiently holding out and waiting for meaningful leading roles rather than just, taking whatever script was handed to him.
So you really have to ask yourself, why on earth would a struggling actor actively turn down paying gigs? Well, it's because representation mattered to him deeply. He boldly refused to play stereotypes. And yeah, that was a decision that made his path a whole lot harder, especially when Hollywood wasn't exactly handing out complex leading roles to young black actors at the time. But he proved his absolute commitment to purposeful storytelling by completely refusing to compromise his values.
Chapter 2. Embodying History's Icons. Okay, just look at this timeline for a second. It is absolutely staggering. In 2013, he breaks through playing baseball pioneer Jackie Robinson in 42. Then, literally the very next year, he completely transforms into music icon James Brown in Get On Up. And by 2017, he is embodying future Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. I mean, in just a few short years, Hollywood realized they had a very rare talent on their hands, someone who was capable of bringing history to life with profound honesty and just incredible emotional depth.
Which brings us to Chapter 3, the King of Wakanda.
His most sweeping, culturally defining role arrived in 2018, $1.3 billion. Let that number sink in. When Black Panther hit theaters, it firmly stamped its unprecedented global scale. But listen, it was far, far more than just a box office success. It was an absolute cultural phenomenon. It celebrated African history, technology, tradition, and imagination, earning multiple Academy Award nominations and resonating across entirely different generations.
Audiences connected so deeply with King T'Challa. Why? Because he was calm under pressure, compassionate, highly intelligent, and endlessly honorable. We rarely get to see this specific kind of leader on screen. But honestly, the real reason the performance was so magnetic is that this superhero's dignified leadership mirrored exactly who Chadwick Boseman was in real life. It wasn't just acting.
Chapter 4. A Private Silent Battle.
Now we have to pull back the curtain on the dual narrative of his life and step into a much heavier, more intimate chapter. In 2016, the exact same year he debuted as King T'Challa to the entire world, right as he's stepping into the absolute peak of global stardom, he received a devastating colon cancer diagnosis. And he chose to keep it entirely private, known only to a very tight circle of family and friends.
This comparison right here highlights the absolute invisible strength of the man. As time went on, the public and the media occasionally speculated about his health and his weight loss. You'd think someone in his position might put out a statement or seek sympathy. Actually, scratch that. That wasn't him at all. While he was quietly enduring his own surgeries and chemotherapy, he actively chose to spend his time visiting children battling cancer in hospitals, offering them hope. Even in his absolute darkest moments, his first instinct was to serve and uplift others.
Chapter 5. The Legacy of a King. When he tragically passed away in August 2020 at just 43 years old, the world literally mourned a true king. Tributes poured in from all over the globe, from athletes, actors, politicians. His impact was so profoundly irreplaceable that Marvel made the highly unusual decision to honor his spirit by purposely not recasting T'Challa. Instead, Wakanda Forever pivoted to become this beautiful, sweeping story of grief and remembrance. And to this day, his speeches and performances continue to inspire new generations of actors and fans alike.
So what should we really take away from this explainer? Our source material summarizes it perfectly with this beautiful quote. A person's greatest legacy isn't measured by awards, but by the lives they touch. Great actors, they entertain us. But great people, they inspire us. Chadwick Boseman portrayed heroes who changed history. But in the end, by leading with such incredible grace and humanity, he proved that true heroism is measured by who we are when no one else is looking.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. True strength is often invisible. How will your unseen courage touch the lives of others? Chadwick Boseman didn't just rule Wakanda on a movie screen. He showed all of us how to live with intention and dignity through our very hardest battles. Thank you so much for joining me today. If his story inspired you, make sure you carry that purpose forward into your own life.